Adaptation. It is the physical or behavioral characteristic of an organism to survive better in the surrounding environment. For example, camel in desert. Camels have developed long legs and the ability to store water to survive in desert environments. Now this image illustrates Darwin finches, a classic example of adaptation in evolutionary biology. The finches found on the Galapagos Islands show how species have evolved different beak shapes and sizes in response to different environmental niche. This is a direct result of adaptation to the types of food available in their habitats. So these finches, they exhibit different beak shapes. Each type of beak is suited for specific function, like parrot-like bill. The vegetarian tree finch has a strong bill that helps it consume plant material. Then grasping bills, the insect-eating finches use their bills to grasp and catch insects. Probing bills, birds like the warbler finch use their long thin beak to extract the insects from tree bark or small crevices. Crushing bills, seed-eating finches such as the ground finches, they have thick, strong beaks to crush hard seeds. These finches, they share a common ancestor, but as they spread to different environments on the islands, they are adapted to the available food sources. The physical adaptation of beak structure enabled them to exploit different ecological niche, allowing multiple species to coexist. So this variation in beak shapes across the finches is an example of adaptation. Each species has developed a unique beak shape and size that allows it to feed on specific types of food such as seeds, insects, or cactus parts. Acclimatization, it is the process by which an organism makes short-term reversible adjustments to cope with changes in the environment. These changes can be in response to factors like temperature, altitude, humidity, or other environmental conditions. Unlike adaptation, which occurs over generations, it happens acclimatization happens within the lifetime of a single organism and help improve its immediate survival and functioning in new or changing conditions. Now, what are the key features of acclimatization? So it involves physiological adjustments. So these are the internal body changes such as the production of more red blood cells, then changes in metabolism, alterations in enzyme function, then anatomical changes involves adjustments in the structure of the body such as thicker fur or fat layers for cold environments. Then temporary and reversible, it typically does not involve genetic changes and is reversible if the environmental conditions return back to normal. For example, humans at high altitudes, when human beings they move to higher altitudes like mountainous regions, the lower oxygen levels in the air can lead to difficulty in breathing and fatigue. Over time, the body naturally acclimatizes by increasing the production of red blood cells to carry more oxygen. This physiological change helps improve oxygen transport in the body and enhances survival in low oxygen conditions. Other examples include desert mammals. Many animals living in the deserts, they acclimatize by adjusting their water retention capabilities and heat regulation mechanisms during the periods of intense heat or drought. Acclimation, it refers to the compensatory changes that an organism undergoes when it is subjected to a controlled or experimental change in its environment, such as in a laboratory setting. These changes are similar to acclimatization, but the key difference is that the acclimation occurs in artificial or controlled conditions, while acclimatization happens in the natural environment. So the key features of acclimation include controlled environment. It happens when the scientists deliberately alter environmental variables such as temperature, light, humidity, or water conditions to observe how organisms adjust. Then physiological and behavioral adjustments. Organisms respond to the changes by altering their metabolisms, enzyme activity, or behavior to maintain proper function under the new conditions. Then reversible, like acclimatization, the changes that occur during acclimation are usually reversible if the organism is returned to its original conditions. For example, fish in aquarium. If the fish are transferred from one tank to another with different water temperature, pH, or oxygen levels, they undergo acclimation to adjust to the new water conditions. This can involve changes in their breathing rate, swimming behavior, or metabolic processes to cope with the new environment. For example, tropical fish might adjust to a cooler water temperature by slowing down their metabolic rate. Other example includes plants in the growth chambers. When plants are grown in chambers where temperature, humidity, or light levels are manipulated, they may undergo acclimation by changing their leaf structure, photosynthesis rate, or water usage. Thermoregulation. Temperature plays a crucial role in controlling the rate of metabolic processes within an organism. Enzymes, which regulate these metabolic processes, function most efficiently within an optimal temperature range. Deviations from this range can either slow down or speed up the metabolism, affecting growth, reproduction, and survival. In order to maintain the proper internal balance of these processes, organisms they rely on homeostasis. Now, it is the property of living organism to regulate its internal environment to keep the conditions stable, such as temperature, pH, water balance, despite changes in the external environment. Homeostasis is essential for maintaining life functions, enabling organisms to adapt to varying environmental conditions. Animals are broadly classified into two categories based on how they regulate their body temperature: homeothermic or warm-blooded and poikilothermic cold-blooded. So homeotherms or homeothermic animals or warm-blooded animals, they are able to maintain their body temperature at a relatively constant level regardless of changes in the surrounding environmental temperature. They can regulate their own body temperature through internal physiological mechanisms such as metabolism, shivering, sweating, or adjusting blood flow. They primarily get their heat from internal metabolic processes, means their body generates heat through activities such as cellular respiration, which burns food energy to produce warmth. Example, birds. A sparrow, for example, maintains its body temperature even during cold weather by increasing metabolic heat production. Mammals, humans, dogs, lions, they can keep their body temperature stable even in environments that are much colder or hotter than their own bodies. They can remain active in a wide range of environmental conditions from cold winters to hot summers, and they have more control over their internal temperature, allowing for consistent body function. Then is poikilotherms or cold-blooded animals. So they cannot maintain a constant internal body temperature. Instead, their body temperature fluctuates with external environment rising or falling within the ambient temperature. They rely on external environmental conditions like sunlight or warm surfaces to regulate their body heat. When the environment is warm, their body heats up. When it is cold, their body cools down. They get heat primarily from the environment, not from internal metabolic processes. They may bask in the sun to warm up, or they may seek shade or burrows to cool down. For example, fish, the body temperature of a fish varies depending on the water temperature. Then various invertebrates, amphibians, reptiles like frogs, lizards, and snakes, they regulate their body temperature by basking in the sun or hiding in cooler places. These Poikilotherms have lower metabolic rates, which allows them to conserve energy, especially during periods when food or heat is less. In colder conditions, poikilotherms can slow down their metabolism and enter a state of dormancy or reduced activity, for example, hibernation. Adaptation in plants. Plants in mountainous regions have adapted to survive harsh environmental conditions such as cold temperatures, strong winds, and heavy snowfall. These adaptations help them thrive despite the challenges posed by high altitudes and extreme weather. They have small and tough leaves. The leaves of plants growing in the mountains are generally small and tough. This minimizes damage from snow, hail, or cold winds. Smaller leaves reduce water loss through transpiration, which is crucial in areas where water may be frozen or scarce. For example, alpine plants often have thick waxy coatings on their leaves to prevent damage from frost and to retain moisture. Then they have tough seeds for survival in cold. Plants in mountains, they produce tough, resilient seeds that can endure freezing temperatures. These seeds are capable of surviving through cold winters and germinating when the conditions become favorable in warmer months. The protective outer covering of the seeds help shield the embryo from frost damage. For example, pine trees produce hardy seeds in the cones which can remain dormant during the winter and sprout when the snow melts. Then the roots of mountain plants, they have deep roots for stability. Means the roots of the mountain plants grow deep into the ground. Deep root provides stability against strong winds, which are common in high altitude environments. They also allow the plant to reach water that might be stored deep within the soil, which is important when surface water is frozen. Trees like firs and pines have extensive root systems that anchor them firmly and prevent them from being uprooted by high winds. Then many of the mountain trees, they grow in a triangular shape. This shape helps them easily shed snow, reducing the weight on their branches and preventing them from breaking. The narrow pointed top and sloping sides allow snow to slide off as it accumulates. For example, the coniferous trees like spruce, pines exhibit this triangular growth form which allows them to survive in areas with heavy snowfall. Structural adaptations. Plants have evolved various adaptations to defend themselves against herbivores and other threats. Two notable examples of such adaptations are found in poison ivy and poison oak, which have toxins that gives predator a painful itchy rash. Both of them produce a toxic compound called urushiol. So what happens when these plants they are touched, the potent allergen which is present in these plants, they can transfer to the skin, leading to itchy painful rash known as contact dermatitis. The unpleasant reaction discourages animals and humans from consuming or coming into contact with these plants, effectively reducing the likelihood of being eaten. Desert environment pose significant challenges for plant life due to extreme temperatures, limited water availability, and intense sunlight. To survive these conditions, many desert plants have developed specialized adaptations like dormancy. Many desert flowers and plants, they can enter a dormant state during prolonged dry periods. This means they remain inactive and conserve energy, waiting for favorable conditions like rainfall to germinate and grow. When rain finally occurs, these plants rapidly respond, taking advantage of the moisture to bloom and reproduce. This adaptation ensures that they maximize their chances of survival and reproduction in an unpredictable environment. Then water storage. Desert plants such as cactus have evolved to store water in their fleshy leaves, stems, and roots. This adaptation allows them to retain moisture during dry spells, acting as reservoirs to sustain the plant when water is scarce. By storing water, these plants can survive long periods without rainfall, enabling them to endure the harsh conditions of the desert. Then some desert plants develop very long root systems that penetrate deep into the soil. This adaptation allows them to access moisture from deeper groundwater sources that may not be available to shallow rooted plants. By reaching deeper into the soil, these plants can efficiently absorb water during rare rainfall events, ensuring their survival even in arid conditions. Many desert plants have evolved spines instead of leaves. These spines not only provide protection from herbivores but also reduce surface area, minimizing water loss through transpiration. The surfaces of desert plants often have a thick waxy coating that help prevent water loss by creating a barrier against evaporation. Carnivorous plants, they have evolved specialized adaptations that allow them to obtain nutrients by trapping and consuming animals, primarily insects. This fascinating strategy enables them to thrive in nutrient poor environments such as wetlands or bogs, where traditional sources of nutrients are scarce. As they eat bugs, so they can live in areas with poor soil environments. Now, these plants, they have modified leaves that form a deep cavity which is filled with digestive liquid. Insects are attracted to the sweet nectar, they fall in, and they cannot escape due to the slippery walls. Adaptation in animals. Protective coloration and resemblance are crucial adaptations that allow animals to blend into their environments, enhancing their chances of survival by avoiding detection from predators or prey. This strategy is commonly referred to as camouflage and is employed by a variety of species across different habitats. So many animals, they possess colors and patterns that closely resemble their surroundings. For example, in the image you can see the rabbit, it blends seamlessly with the surroundings. Likewise, in the right side image, the tiger is blending with its surroundings. It is not possible for anyone to identify. Again, this is the example of protective coloration or camouflage. The first one, you can see that the lizard, it is blending with the surroundings, difficult to be identified. Likewise, in the other image you can see frog which is blending with the surroundings. Mimicry allows one animal to look, sound, or act like another animal to fool predators into thinking it is poisonous or dangerous. It is a fascinating evolutionary adaptation that enables one species to resemble another species in appearance, sound, or behavior. So this strategy can serve various functions, particularly in avoiding predation. One of the most well-known examples of mimicry is the relationship between the monarch butterfly and the viceroy butterfly. Monarch butterflies are easily recognized by their bright orange and black wings. This vague coloration warns predators that they are toxic. During their larval stage, monarchs feed on milkweed plants, which contain harmful chemicals called cardenolites. These toxins stay in their bodies even after they become butterflies, making them undesirable to many predators. The viceroy butterflies, they are not toxic, but they have similar coloration to the monarch butterfly, with orange and black patterns. This resemblance provides the viceroy with a significant survival advantage, as predators who have tasted or seen the unpalatable monarch, they will avoid eating anything that looks similar to monarch. The eastern coral snake and the scarlet king snake are prime examples of mimicry in the animal kingdom, specifically through Batesian mimicry. This form of mimicry occurs when a harmless species evolves to resemble a harmful or venomous species, thus gaining protection from predators. So the bright coloration of the eastern coral snake serves as a warning signal to potential predators, indicating its venomous nature. Predators that have had negative experiences with venomous snakes are likely to avoid anything that resembles them. The scarlet king snake, being non-venomous, benefits from this resemblance. Predators may mistake the scarlet king snake for the venomous eastern coral snake and thus avoid it, allowing the scarlet king snake to survive in environments where it may otherwise be at a risk of predation. Migration is a remarkable behavioral adaptation which is observed in many animal species, involving the seasonal movement of individuals or groups from one region to another and back again. This adaptation is driven by various ecological and environmental factors, allowing animals to optimize their living conditions and enhance their chances of survival. So animals, they migrate for different reasons, like for better climate. Many animals migrate to escape harsh weather conditions. For example, birds such as the Arctic tern, they migrate thousands of miles from their breeding grounds in the Arctic to warmer regions in the winter. This movement helps them avoid extreme cold and find more favorable conditions for survival. Then better food availability. Migration often coincides with the search for food. Some herbivores, they migrate to access nutritious pastures that may be seasonally available in different regions, and predators may follow their prey during migrations, ensuring access to food resource as well. Safe places to live. Animals may migrate to avoid predators or find safer breeding grounds. For example, many fish species, such as salmon, migrate upstream to spawn in safer, less turbulent waters away from the predators. Then, returning to the places they were born, some animals like sea turtles, they show a behavior called natal homing. This means they return to the same beach where they were born to lay their eggs. This behavior ensures that the next generation has a safe and familiar environment for hatching. Hibernation, it is a survival strategy which is used by certain animals to conserve energy during the periods when food is limited, typically in winter conditions. So hibernation is deep sleep in which animals' body temperature drops, body activity or metabolism are slowed way down to conserve the energy. During hibernation, an animal's body temperature drops significantly, reducing the energy required to maintain normal body functions. The animal's metabolic rate slows down dramatically, meaning it uses much less energy. It is important because food is typically scarce during the winter and the animal relies on stored body fat to survive. So, like in the first image, it shows a bat in a hibernating state, clinging to a surface with its wings folded. Bats hibernate in caves or other secluded places, lowering their body temperature and metabolic rate to conserve energy. Then in second image, it shows a squirrel curled up and sleeping. Some squirrels, especially ground squirrels, they enter a state of hibernation where their body temperature and metabolism drop to survive the winter months. Then third image is it depicts a bear hibernating in a den. Bears, they enter state of hibernation where they sleep for long periods, living off the fat reserves built up during the summer and fall. This image illustrates the key difference in the positioning of the eyes between prey animals and the predators, which is crucial adaptation related to their survival strategies. So first is rabbit. The rabbit's eyes are positioned on the side of its head, which allows it to have a wide field of view. This adaptation is vital for detecting predators approaching from various directions. With this panoramic vision, rabbits can see almost all around them without having to move their head, giving them more time to escape from predators. Then on the right part, you can see predator. Now the eyes of the predator are positioned facing forward, which allows for excellent depth perception. This is crucial for judging distances accurately, especially when stalking prey or making a leap during a hunt. Forward-facing eyes enables the predators to focus intensely on their prey, providing them with a narrower but more detailed view of their target. This type of vision is essential for a predator that relies on stealth and precision to capture its food.